guys, welcome to my channel, Chantilly's Kitchen Hop, and I'm your host, CHANTILLY''s. And my channel is dedicated to gluten-free, vegan, lifestyle recipes and sharing with you guys while we rock out in the kitchen. And today I have a really great recipe, perfect for St. Patrick's Day or any other time of the year really. We're doing a classic Irish potato pie. Super yummy. It's actually going to bake up in pie form. It's got great presentation, nice crispy edges. I think you'll really like this one. So if you guys would like to learn how to make this, make sure you stick around. And if you like what I'm doing, hit that like button and subscribe. See you in a sec, guys. Bye. Hi guys, welcome to Chantilly's Kitchen Hop. Thanks so much for joining me today. And I have another recipe for St. Patrick's Day or really any time of the year. It's a really good gluten-free, vegan, classic Irish potato pie. So this one, it's actually really easy. I believe it's even under 10 ingredients like a lot of the ones I've been doing lately. It takes a little bit more time just because there's kind of some steps to it, but let's go ahead and get started, guys. So, pre-starters, I already did this ahead of time because you guys don't want to watch potatoes boil for, it was probably about 20 minutes. So you want to get Yukon Gold potatoes, and we're going to do about 2.5 pounds, and then you're going to cube them, about 1-inch cubes, and then we're going to put them in enough water to about, an inch of covering them or more. And then you're going to bring that to a boil, and then you'll bring that down to a medium heat, and then just cook them until they're fork tender, and then drain them and let them cool for a little bit, because you don't want to make these when they're still super hot and steamy, because I have burnt my knuckles that way, because you don't realize how hot they are until you're like really in there going. So that's one of the head steps that you guys will need to do. And then after you've done that, we'll preheat our oven to 350, and I actually already have mine going because oddly we're having a very cold day in Arizona. Really weird. So, and let's see, next step is we're going to get our faux flax egg going, and then we're just going to set that to the side for a sec. So it's 1 tablespoon of ground flaxseed meal. Let you guys see the one I'm using today. It's Bob's Red Mill. I use a lot of their stuff. I really like it. Organic. It's really good. Gluten-free. And this is a really good egg replacer. It's very binding and stuff, so it's just perfect. And then we're going to add 3 tablespoons of water to that. And then just give it a little whisk up, and then we'll just set this to a side for a sec while we get our potatoes mashed. Well, not really mashing, we're leaving them chunky. We just kind of want to get them a little smaller. So go ahead and you're going to want a big mixing bowl because it is 2.5 pounds of potatoes. So, I mean, it is a lot. What I do, I just buy the 5-pound bag, and then I guesstimate what about half of that is. So really, if it's a little under, a little more, you'll be fine. We're going to go ahead and get those into a big bowl. Pull our sleeves up so we don't get all dirty. And then a pastry cutter, a masher, whatever you guys have to mash these. But we're just going to be mashing them down to, we still want chunks in there, but we don't want the full chunks like there is, if that makes sense. So let me get these going, and then I'll show you guys kind of what I'm talking about. And I have let mine cool for probably about 20 minutes, so they're really not warm anymore. You really wouldn't have to wait that long. I just made them a little ahead of time for you guys. This also gives you a nice good workout too, which is nice. So you're getting your arm workout for the day. So we're just kind of mashing them down. Like I said, we're still going to have chunks. We didn't peel them, so the skins are still in there, but that just adds a lot more of the nutrients, so it makes this a really nutrient-dense recipe, which that's why I love potatoes. I think they've gotten a bad rap over the years. They do have carbs, but they also do have a lot of nutrients. They are good for you, so especially when you get away from the russet potatoes, they're even more nutrient-packed. So let's see. I think a little bit more on mine. So like I said, still chunky, but you do want it to kind of look like, like a really bad mashed potato that you got at somebody's house that you're like, they're still really chunky. You guys know me, I don't like to waste, so I always scrape off stuff. Alright, kind of give you guys an idea of what we're looking at, what I mean by chunky. So you can see it's mashed, but you can still see that there, there's kind of some chunks in there and stuff. So it'll just be nice bite-sized tidbits, I guess. And then if you don't want to do oil or butter, you can actually just do a little bit of vegan milk here, but I'm going to go for it today. So we're just going to do 2 tablespoons of vegan butter of choice, and just get it a little soft. You won't need too much because your potatoes are still warm. And then we're just going to mix that in there so it kind of gets distributed. And then by the time we've done this, our egg should be ready for us to add the rest to. So it's not really, adding much fat to it. It just kind of helps with the flavor, and it'll help cook them down to the crust and stuff. So milk will work just as well. But I figure, 2 tablespoons to 2 pounds, that's not too bad. So let's go ahead and we'll just move these to the side for a sec. And then we're going to grab our faux egg, give him one last little stir up there. You can see texture's changed. It's gotten a little bit more gelatinous, I guess would be the right word, more egg-like. So he is good to go. So to this, we're going to add a ½ cup of shredded vegan Parmesan, and I didn't keep my box, but I use the VioLife brand. I really like it. It has a very real Parmesan taste to it. The texture, it's salty, just like Parmesan should be. It reminds me of when you would get a really good block of Parmesan. So we want to do a ½ cup of that and do it shredded. Just going to put that in with the eggs. And then we're also doing a ½ cup of Panko breadcrumbs. And I got the Ian's brand today, just so you guys can see what I'm using. And actually, just the regular one. They do have an Italian one too that you could use, but I just had the regular on hand, so that's what I'm using. So we're doing a ½ cup of that. And then if you guys have watched me before, or if this is your first time, you will figure out I love garlic. So I'm putting 5 cloves of minced garlic in mine. If you don't like garlic that much, you can, take it down to 1 or 2, but I love garlic, and it's, it's over 2 pounds of potatoes, so I feel like 5 is not going to be too overpowering or anything like that. So, but that is kind of preference. And then this is also preference too. I'm going to do a tablespoon of dried oregano. You can do an Italian blend if you want, or if you don't want these. Honestly, I usually find potato pies a little bland, so that's why most recipes will just tell you ½ teaspoon or a teaspoon of all the seasonings, but I've like tripled up on that, so a tablespoon I think is just about right, because it is a lot of potatoes and you do want flavor in there. So that's just my opinion, but if you guys do want to keep it a little, maybe not so over the top, if you think that's how I'm doing it, you could definitely just do a teaspoon or 2 teaspoons of oregano, Italian blend. You could do basil, rosemary. I think any of the herbs really do work well with this. And then we're also going to do a ½ tablespoon of dried onion powder. We're going to do a ½ tablespoon of cracked black pepper. And then a ½ tablespoon of salt. And the salt and pepper you can definitely adjust at the end. I do take a little nibble just to make sure that everything is tasting right. So I made this the other day and I didn't have enough in it, and I was really glad I tried it because it was going to be just kind of bland, and who wants that, especially when it's potatoes. So we're just going to give this a good mix up. And then I'm also going to be adding in, we're going to add in 2 tablespoons of vegan milk of choice, just to kind of help everything get binded together, and it'll help bind in the potatoes. I couldn't think of the word for a sec. Then we're just going to, after we give this a nice mix up, we're going to stir this right into our potatoes. So it's still, kind of dry, but it will have a little bit of a wet texture, kind of give you guys an idea of what you're going to be working with. So that's kind of what it's going to look like for you. And then we're just going to dump this right into our potatoes. Sure, got to get all the goodies out of there. Put that to the we're just gonna gently mix this in, just kind of try to make sure it's uniformly throughout your potatoes. What I mean by gently is you don't want to go all aggressive at it because you don't want to mash your potatoes down too much more. So we're just kind of folding it in there and stuff. Make sure it gets to the bottom. I feel like this is probably the hardest step because you're trying to be gentle, but it's potatoes. Alright, so that's about good. But I am going to give mine a little taste test because I need to know if I got to add anything else in there. So just take a little nibble. Alright, I think what I told you guys was about perfect. Because honestly, I don't usually measure. I just start pouring in like this and then stop and take a taste. So, I think that's just about right. So, yay, I guessed right. I know a lot of times when people have asked me over the years, like, you know, how I could do a recipe, what I add to it. I'll tell them what I put in there, but I can never actually tell them the portions because I don't measure. I'm so bad about it. I kind of think I get that from my dad. He was definitely one, just grab a bunch of spices and stuff out of the cabinet and then just start mixing, and then before you know it, you have something amazing. So now that our potatoes are ready, let's go ahead and get a 8 or 9 inch just round pie pan baking sheet. I would stick with the round just because it's fun and it keeps it actually looking like a pie shape, but if you only have the square, you could do the square too, and then it could be potato brownies because you could do them in little squares. But okay, so we don't need oil or anything in these because the potatoes do have the fat, and you don't really have to worry about it sticking. But for a crust, we're actually going to take about 2 tablespoons of cornmeal. Just make sure it's a gluten-free kind because they can get contaminated. And we're just going to sprinkle it over the bottom, just pretty much until it's uniformly covered. Try not to dump it on the counter like I just did. You don't need a lot because too much and it actually won't turn into a crust. It'll kind of be like, you know when you have bread and it still has like the little bit of flour from cooking so it didn't stick, it'll have that. So too much cornmeal, it's not that it's going to take away or make it bad, but you'll realize that you just have a lot sitting in the bottom. So I did that one time. I thought, oh, I'll just dump it in and then pat it down, and ended up having like that much cornmeal in it, and it tasted fine, but it was just kind of weird that there was that much cornmeal. So 2 tablespoons should be more than enough. And then we're just going to plop our potatoes right in there. Kind of try to dump them if you can, because you don't want to move the cornmeal too much, but if it does, it does. But, you know, it can be kind of awkward, especially people watching you if you're trying to dump stuff. And then you get it all over your counter. You try scooping this last bit. I feel like I'm just making more of a mess than I am anything else. Alright, so now that we got it in our pan, we're just going to gently press it down. I don't know what I just said. Press it down, and we're going to smooth the top so everything's even, it'll cook even. Let's get this piece off the counter. My countertop's clean, so that's okay. So you don't really need to push too hard with it being the potatoes. They'll go down pretty easy for you and stuff, but you just kind of smooth the top so it actually looks cute and like a pie. And then if you want, you could even sprinkle a little bit of extra cheese on top, but I'm not going to. I think it has enough in it already, but you could always play around for sure. Okay, so kind of got it pushed down in there, got it looking all cute. Kind of looks like pie. So there we go. That's what you'll get before you stick it in the oven. You can feel it's about 3 pounds. Sucker's kind of heavy. So you're going to toss it in the oven at 350, and it's going to cook for about 45 minutes. You might want to check on it at about 40, but honestly, it seemed 45 to even 50 might be good. You'll notice the top starts to get a little brown and crispy, and the edges will actually start to get a little brown too, and they start coming away from the pan. So then you'll know it's ready. Take it out, let it cool for probably, at least 10 minutes, or you can even wait till it gets to room temperature, and you'll end up with something that looks like this. So you actually have a slice of potato pie. So if you guys can see what I was talking about, you got the edges browned a little bit. It actually stays in this just beautiful presentation form. And I top mine with a little bit of vegan sour cream. And you can do that. You could do a little bit of green onions on there. There's just a few ways you could play around for topping this. So I think you guys will really enjoy this. It's super fun. I like that it's in a dessert shape, but it's not dessert, so it'll just be a great one if you have company over. You can kind of whip it up ahead of time even, and you can freeze these for about a month and just pop them out and stick them in the oven. So that's another great thing about this recipe. So I hope you guys really like this one. I know St. Patrick's Day is tomorrow, so maybe you'll end up trying it for that, or that classic Irish soda bread that I did last week, which is super, super yummy. And as always, I still do have stickers and magnets available, guys. They are $3. Just send me a DM if you'd like one. And also, if you guys are watching on Facebook, make sure you check out my YouTube channel. It's Chantilly's Kitchen Hop. And if you're watching on YouTube, I do a live recipe every week at 2 p.m. on Tuesdays with everybody. So if you'd like to join me for that, I hope I see you guys then. So have a great rest of your week. Happy St. Patrick's Day, and see you guys. Bye!